to another episode of the Sri Lankan Understanding. We are here at the Mount Lavinia Hotel. They are our main sponsors for this series, and in this series we are exploring the Sri Lankan culture, what makes us Sri Lankans and what the heritage of this culture is. So it includes various topics on archaeology, history, contemporary culture, traditions, and etc. But today we're actually having a very interesting topic on Sigiriya, but not the common story of Sigiriya, but we're actually going to see the conservation story of Sigiriya, which not many people know. So today with me here I have architect Pali Wijerathne. He is an architect, planner and conservator on built heritage. So he is one of the most senior people in the industry, and he was also the first director of conservation at Sigiriya in the 1980s, and also former past president of ICOM of Sri Lanka. So Mr. Wijerathne, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice having you here today. And so like we discussed, we want to hear the conservation story of Sigiriya. How do you come into Sigiriya, if you can briefly explain that?
No, first of all, I want to tell you how I got interested in conservation.
Great, yes.
My interest came in as a schoolboy by accident. Because at Nalanda,
right,
where I studied, we were given an opportunity to spend the holidays. After the big match, we spend the holidays traveling around the country, seeing the heritage sites, both tangible, intangible, and also the natural heritage sites of the country. The old boy sponsored it, and then as long as we had the money, we would travel around.
Right.
So that is where I really developed a taste into it and said, this is an ideal thing to be interested in. And from there onwards, then when I started doing architecture, late Dr. Roland Silva was our lecturer in history of architecture. He didn't talk about architecture with the cement and mortar and all that,
okay,
or brick and mortar. But what he did was he talked about how the socio-cultural society and economics and all that, geography and geology and all that, affected the built environment.
right, yeah.
So it was a completely different picture to what we are used to hearing about history.
Exactly.
It was more an analytical thing, how the rest of the society influenced the buildings. In fact, that is what today everybody talking about, how built environment should work around the ecology and everything else.
Yeah.
And that was there earlier.
Yes. So although we think these are modern concepts, it actually is.
No,
it has
Sri
been in our
Sri Lanka had it even before the dawn of the century, of the 20th century. Yeah. So that was how we got interested. But then also we had an issue where in the 60s we had no full-time course in architecture.
Okay.
We had only a 3 years course, and after that we were thrown on the street and say, find your own way for the rest of it.
Right.
I ended up in Aberdeen.
Okay.
And there also they were talking about the history of Scottish architecture and all that.
Right.
But in addition to that, we were also, then I started working there. And my first project was that I was in the team that did the conservation of Wellington Barracks,
okay,
next to Buckingham Palace.
Right.
So that was interesting. Now that sparked off still more interest in the subject.
Right.
And I thought, what am I doing with architecture? And then we went on to do various other buildings there for 8 years, and I came back to the country.
Okay.
But by that time, I had qualified in not only architecture, but also planning.
Planning, right.
And I got back in 80. In 81, there was an application or advertisement in the papers asking for conservation architects by the cultural triangle.
Right.
I was working at Silvaratnam and Perra. I got the partners to agree on the promise that I was going to do the job.
Okay.
Because they said they don't know nothing about it, and I had to do it. So I said, fine, let's apply. And we were assigned Sigiriya. And that was under the culture.
So you didn't know you were going to Sigiriya when you, on the vacancy?
No, that was because there were six sites that they wanted to put in. That was Jetawana, Abhegiriya in Anuradhapura, Alahana Piriven in Polonnaruwa, then Sigiriya, Dambulla, paintings, and Kandy.
Right.
So out of that, we were assigned Sigiriya.
Okay.
And also the situation was that was the first time architects from the private sector and the archaeologists from the universities were brought in together and work on the different sites.
I see, yeah. And so that is when Sigiriya was just given the UNESCO inscription, is it? Or?
Yeah, UNESCO had already recognized the project under the Central Cultural Fund.
Right.
Because they brought in tax concessions and various other things, so that was an issue on it. And we went on to, we were also given certain conditions of what conservation is, what excavation is, because we were new to the place.
Yeah.
But it was a case of the private sector architects working with the university archaeologists under a government office or private, public sector, all this is combined together under the blessings of UNESCO.
I see, yeah. So in Sri Lanka, this was the first sort of that, in the cultural sector, the public, private.
No, this was the first project, and the success of it was advertised by the UNESCO for the other countries to come and have a look at it and how it can be implemented in those countries.
Yeah.
This was the first in the world.
We were pioneers in that sense.
In that sense, we were the pioneers.
Yeah.
And UNESCO organized overseas press people and UNESCO, the experts to come around, see how our organization was, how smoothly it worked.
Right.
Because our commitment was to the site, not individuals.
Yeah, true.
And that was the way that we continued to work. We had our arguments, obviously.
Yeah.
We had arguments with my guru, Dr. Roland Silva himself.
Okay.
But we had arguments with the archaeologists. They had arguments with us.
Right.
But we managed to compromise all that and settle all that for the sake of the site.
That's true.
Site was the most important thing.
Yeah.
And heritage of the country came in first.
Interesting.
So that's how we worked. UNESCO was so pleased that they were giving grants for the architects and the archaeologists to attend ICROM on a 6 months course for conservation.
Right.
Now, I wasn't interested in the 6 months courses because I thought it was a waste of time.
Right.
Then the British Council, British High Commission organized this evening scholarship scheme.
Right.
And I applied for it. Dr. Roland Silva recommended me to the Institute of Architects, and they in turn took it up. So recommendations came from Central Cultural Fund and the Institute of Architects for me to follow this course, 1 year course in Masters.
Oh, interesting.
So I went to York University to do a master's course in conservation.
Oh, lovely. So, Mr. Wijerathne, we'll come back onto this topic, but for now we're going to take a short commercial break. We will be right back with you all soon. Welcome back, and we are here with architect Pali Wijerathne talking on the conservation story of Sigiriya, which is generally not known. And so, Mr. Wijerathne, like we were discussing, you were saying that how Sigiriya in the 1980s, as part of the Cultural Triangle project, was sort of a pioneer location for this private and public sector partnerships.
Participation.
If you can maybe elaborate more on that, and especially how you all tackled certain issues, I guess.
Yeah, no, okay, we had a trial run and found that there were contrasting ideas of how one could handle the project.
Right.
It was basically an issue of how does an academic look at it and how a professional would look at a site.
Right. Yeah.
And fortunately, we had the boss who was an architect and archaeologist, so he wore both hats.
So that's that's the advantage, I guess.
So he compromised whenever there was conflict. He would sit in the middle and be the punching bag for both of us.
Right.
But what we did was, okay, we said at all times we are accessible to each other on the phone. There were no mobile phones,
Yes.
but on a land phone we were always accessible,
Right.
even in the nights,
Okay.
so that we could call on it. And all decisions taken should be agreed by all three parties.
Right. Three parties means.
By the government sector,
Okay. Yeah. Right. Right.
because they are the neutral party on it.
Right. Yes.
So all three parties must agree on it. All three parties were accessible to each other.
Okay.
There
So
were
from
no
the
Sunday
private
holidays or anything.
So you were in charge of the conservation side, and who was the it was Professor Senaka Bandaranaike, right?
Senaka Bandaranaike,
He was in charge of the excavation side.
archaeologist.
Archaeologist.
It's not only excavations but analysis of it and interpretations.
Right.
So our conservation depended on his interpretation.
Okay. Yeah.
We can't go, we didn't know how to interpret an archaeological site.
Yeah.
So he has to analyze it and tell us this is what it is.
Right.
And Dr. Roland Silva, wearing the both hats, we would know which way, how to compromise if we had the conflict situation.
Right.
So that went on well. But we also followed certain golden rules
Okay.
in archaeology and conservation.
Right.
And also presentation.
Also.
Presentation after conservation to the public.
Yes. Yeah. That's also important.
That is a more important point of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the rule that followed in excavations was that we were not going to excavate the whole site.
Yeah.
Now if you see Sigiriya, water gardens,
Right.
we have, they have all exposed the southern part of the water gardens, but not the northern part.
Right. Yes.
The idea is that, okay, we have a certain knowledge of it. Before that, Parnavitana did the excavations.
Right.
And he had a certain ideas of what it was, excavations and interpretation.
Okay.
But by the time we came in there,
Right.
there was advanced technology, like carbon dating and all that was available.
Yeah.
But that is not the end of it.
That's true.
So we left part of it for the future archaeologists with better technology to tell more of the story and even contradict us.
Right. And so that's why the eastern side has been.
Yeah, that's right. It's a site that is important.
Right. True.
Then even with excavations, we had to follow conservation, we had to follow certain rules.
Okay.
The rule in conservation, we had to preserve the authenticity of the site.
Yeah.
We could not say, okay, let's build this should have been 10 feet high wall or 15 feet high wall, let's build it up. We can't do that. We retain that wall, and to preserve that existing wall,
Yeah.
we would build 2 or 3 layers of brickwork, new brickwork,
Okay.
to preserve the original brickwork.
Right.
That was all.
To
And
maintain
that
it as it was found.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that new brickwork, we got special order done with the cultural triangle logo and the date.
Okay.
So those 3 layers of brickwork, anybody in future knows that this was done on such a year.
I see. Yeah.
And beyond that is the original one, below that.
Yeah.
So we kept that authenticity going.
I see.
And one of the interesting that we found on this was, we ordered the brickwork to the same size as what was there.
Okay.
We got it tested.
Right.
And we tested it with the original brickwork also. When the original bricks were tested, the machine gave way.
Oh.
But when the new bricks were tested, the machine was intact, the brick gave way.
The brick. So that shows even at present we couldn't
match. That was
match
the technology they had
yeah.
those days.
That's true.
You know. So, in any case, that is how we adopted it. Then even with the presentation, say landscaping or whatever it is, we were not going to imagine what it was and do it.
Right.
We were going to follow what was there earlier, how it could have been there.
Okay.
Now even the fountain, we excavated the hydrology system and then followed it up.
Yes. On that, if you can also elaborate more on the water garden, because
yeah, we'll talk about it when we come to the hydrology part of it.
Right.
It is hydrology that is more important there. But then, and also we had issues of interruptions. The archaeologists didn't have a free-for-all time period for the whole year. You can't say, okay, I'm going to excavate this.
Right.
He had to excavate in such a way that we had time to conserve it before the rains.
So that's where the negotiations happen between the two parties.
Yes.
Right.
So we had to discuss with each other where he could stop for the year and where we could take over and finish it, restore that part before.
Right.
So that understanding was important.
That's true. And so with that, we will be running into a quick commercial break and we'll be back on the story of Sigiriya. Welcome back, and so we are going to continue on the story of Sigiriya's conservation history in the 1980s. And Mr. Wijerathne, you were explaining how you all timed the excavations and conservations.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And also the other thing that we did was, our title of the project when we started was Conservation of the Water Gardens of Sigiriya.
Okay.
But when we got into onto working there, we realized that we can't limit it to, with blinkers on, limit it to water gardens. Because the hydrology was linked not only from the top of the rock right down, but also it extended beyond the Sigiriya palace gardens onto the neighborhood areas. And that comes in, then that came with the question with why did Kashyapa select Sigiriya for his palace? He couldn't have just taken it to the palace of nowhere else, nobody's land, just because there was a rock.
Exactly.
So there was a community living, and that community had a cascading water system, irrigation water system already.
Okay.
Sigiriya was part of that.
Right. Yeah.
So if you are discussing that hydrology, that you have to discuss
it should go beyond
the boundaries of Sigiriya rock.
Yeah. And like, how if we go back to the water garden area, because that's one of the most interesting engineering features of Sigiriya, which we are very proud of as Sri Lankans. And I think you are one of the key people who helped to conserve the water, the engineering of this, and all the fountains we see now is.
Yeah, no, the thing is this, it was something like this. Now, we realized that the water gardens, when we started excavating and looking at it,
Okay.
you realize that the water gardens can be divided into three concepts.
Right. Okay.
Water garden 1 is where you have the present western entrance.
Okay. Yeah.
There again, we had an issue. Parnavitana had described those row of buildings, brickwork that you see as you enter,
Okay.
as watch huts.
All right.
Whereas when we looked at it, we realized that those were of a later edition, and it was the monastic part of the monastery that was there
Right.
on the post-Kasyapan era.
Okay.
So we had to take that part, we kept it there,
Right.
but we didn't take it as Parnavitana's word.
Okay.
But we started working on the other parts of that excavations on it, and we found that there were pavilions inside sort of water areas that you to go into the pavilion by treading over the water, a couple of inches of water.
Wow. Okay.
So you wash your feet automatically before you go there.
Yeah.
And it also keeps the pavilion cool.
I see. Wow.
So we conserved 1 or 2 of them, but left the rest for somebody else to do it,
I see. Yeah.
you know, on the old principle of it.
Exactly.
Then we also conserved the summer palace, so-called summer palace, with a moated island there.
Yeah.
And when we excavated it, we found that there was a veranda
That was.
facing in the so-called summer palace,
Yeah.
facing the rock.
Okay. Wow.
And from there, if we should sit there, you find the entire 500 odd frescoes on the belly of it.
I see. Yeah.
So it was aesthetically pleasing, and cooling effect was there with the moat and all.
I see.
And that moat water was connected to the rest of the water courses around. The second water garden was the 4 tanks that was used for swimming, for bathing purposes,
Right.
with the arched, stepped arch thing, which was the dressing rooms, which led to the dressing rooms of the place. So that is the royal concubines or royal household people had their baths there.
Wow. Okay. And Mr. Wijerathne, I need to ask also here that many people, almost all of the Sri Lankans, we hear when we talk about the water gardens and the engineering of Sigiriya, there is this story that the water actually goes up the rock to the pool that is found on the summit around the palace. But of course, that's not the right case, and which is, yeah.
It was a case of rainwater harvesting that we are talking about now.
It's always top down.
From the top downwards.
Yeah.
But there are intermediate level, there are pools.
Okay.
That is to collect the water at that level with the excess water that comes down.
Right.
They don't all flood right down.
Okay. So it's also similar to the tank cascade system?
Tank cascade
They
system.
sort of
Yes. That is a miniature version of the tank cascade system.
Okay.
That was available in Sri Lanka from the 3rd century BC.
Yeah.
So long before even Kashyapa gave it.
Definitely.
Sri Lanka had mastered that system. And it is also the water gardens was interconnected through the moats into Sigiriya River. So Sigiriya River maintained the water levels of the gardens during the dry season also.
Right.
In fact, when we were excavating the line from those swimming pools to the moat, we found the remnants of what Parnavitana had done there as well. So even he has started on it,
right,
but he had not been able to remove it, so it may be that weather or something interrupted, and we couldn't get that. He couldn't complete it. So we established it that this whole thing was interconnected.
I see. Yeah.
There was never a shortage of water in the water gardens. There was never a shortage of water even on top of the rock.
Right.
Even during the height of the dry season, there was water on top of it.
That's
Because the other thing was this, the rock is a volcanic rock
right.
from the Stone Age. So it doesn't absorb the water. If it is granite, it would have absorbed the water.
That's the point. Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So it's also important to study the geology of Sigiriya
Yes.
as well to
Yeah.
understand. Interesting. So, Mr. Wijerathne, maybe like as a concluding thing, I know we can go on and on about Sigiriya, but of course, due to time constraints, maybe you can quickly explain that Sigiriya's engineering marvel is not limited to the palace complex alone.
No.
Right? It's the entire landscape.
You cannot assess Sigiriya by just looking at the palace complex.
That's true. So even from a conservation perspective, we need to take the entire.
Yeah, because why did you go there in the first place?
Right.
You can't go, if you are in hiding, you can't go to a place in the middle of the forest.
That's true.
He went in there because it was already an urban area.
I see. Yeah.
With people living around there, agricultural land was there.
There are
And there are
prehistoric sites
monasteries.
as well
There,
around it. So ever since,
there are monasteries,
Yeah.
there was a community living there.
definitely.
So it is that community that could service the palace. He didn't have to bring the community from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that with having monasteries and temples there was an intellectual part of it, input coming into that community.
So I think, like the takeaway of this is, as modern conservators, we need to understand the larger picture of Sigiriya in its historical context
Exactly.
and look at it from a holistic perspective. Yeah.
And if you can take in that part of it for today's conservation work,
Yeah.
you will find that you can avoid over tourism in the Sigiriya complex.
That's true.
Because by exposing the rest of it, and
You
people
can-
would love to, tourists would love to do that.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, they should take in that whole area.
Yeah.
And also, under the UNWTO Charter, also it says that the local community should benefit from tourism, cultural
That's true.
tourism.
Yeah.
So we can even achieve that part with it,
Right. Yeah.
because that is what was there earlier.
Exactly. So I mean that's a way of countering the overcrowdedness of Sigiriya as well. We can.
Yeah.
You were also mentioning we can make it into a 3-day visit than just a 1-day visit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we have come to the end of a very exciting episode. And Mr. Wijerathne, thank you very much for sharing your
It's okay, my
experience on
pleasure.
Sigiriya, because this is something not many of us usually know. When you talk about Sigiriya, it's the historical narrative. But thank you for enlightening us on how we should look at historic landscapes in terms of conservation than just the monument itself. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and we will see you all once more on a future episode of the Sri Lankan Understanding. Thank you.